Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos. So big breaking news to give you guys a current update on. So now it's possible that Lukaku and Paul Pogba could stay at Manchester United after huge transfer fees have been put on both of them. So now reportedly, they could both remain at Manchester United, could Lukaku and Paul Pogba. So we'll start with the first topic of the development about Romelu Lukaku. Now we do know Lukaku has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation, and we do know that his move away from Manchester United has been looking very imminent indeed, because we do know he's been heavily linked with a move to Inter Milan, because I think Lukaku is destined to make the move to Italy, of course. Obviously, he was discussing about Italy a while back about his dream of playing in the Serie A, and obviously Lukaku's agent came out before saying that his future is very open indeed. But reports have been coming out today saying that Manchester United have reportedly told Lukaku that he can leave the club this summer. But now reportedly the quoted fee is around £80 million that Manchester United want if we are willing to let him go to Inter Milan. And obviously, this is a fee, of course, that Inter Milan, I would presume, that are reluctant to currently pay. So now this could make him, stay at Manchester United, because initially, I think everything else has been agreed, between Inter Milan and Romelu Lukaku and all that. I think it did say Inter Milan have agreed to terms with Lukaku. I think it did say Inter Milan have agreed a 5-year deal with Lukaku, worth up to around 37.5 million across 5 years, and I think around 7.5 million per year, and I think with bonuses included. It did say the other week that Romelu Lukaku, was in Italy. He had negotiations with Inter Milan's representatives, obviously, to try and finalise a deal. And it did say initially, he had agreed a deal to join Inter Milan. But obviously, it hasn't been fully finalised, because obviously an initial fee has not come to an agreement. So basically, we are looking, to recoup the majority of the money that we did pay for Lukaku, back in 2017 from Everton. So initially, we got him for £75 million. Obviously, there were add-ons included in the deal of around 15 million, so initially risen the deal up to £90 million. He has still got 3 years left on his contract with Manchester United, and I think take home is on about £250,000 a week. So we do know Inter Milan are set to appoint Antonio Conte as their new manager. Obviously, I think he's set to be appointed is it tomorrow, according to the media, because obviously it's been revealed today that Luis Speller has been sacked as Inter Milan manager, and Antonio Conte has identified Romelu Lukaku as his number one target. But I do want Romelu Lukaku, to currently leave Manchester United, because I think, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has told him his surplus to requirements. He's obviously enjoyed a very difficult season with Manchester United, Romelu Lukaku, because initially, Marcus Rashford was preferred choice ahead of him. Lukaku in his first season with Manchester United, did really well. He scored 27 goals in all competitions, but never really replicated that in his second season. But as you all know, I've got strong reservations about him, when it comes to his first touch, his link-up play, when against the big teams, he's a big game bottler. He hasn't really got that endless potential. So I think it would be beneficial if we could cash in for Romelu Lukaku. Like I said, it will help us with our rebuilding process, and it will help us with our transition. But now we've reportedly put an £80 million price tag on him. This could, obviously, stall. This could, be a stumbling block, between Inter Milan and Romelu Lukaku, and he could end up, staying with Manchester United, Lukaku. But he's 26 years of age, he has still got a lot of development in him, so he could now end up, staying at Manchester United. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is working on, bringing the right players to Manchester United who he thinks are good enough, to represent Manchester United. He's also working on, bringing, trying to keep his imperative players in the club, and obviously, Paul Pogba is an imperative player. So now, obviously, we've put a huge transfer fee on Paul Pogba. This could now, stall his move to currently Real Madrid, and he could end up, staying there with Manchester United. Could Paul Pogba? I think Solskjaer's trying to do everything, to try and convince him to stay with the club. We do know, obviously, David De Gea as well. He's very essential indeed for Manchester United, but I think it's looking like David De Gea is going to be leaving. But with the Lukaku situation, I think it did say a couple of days ago that Inter Milan were willing to offer £30 million for Romelu Lukaku, plus Ivan Perisic as part of the deal. But obviously, Manchester United were not willing to go along with this, because we do know that Ivan Perisic is no longer a Manchester United target. Obviously, he was a long-term target for Manchester United under Jose Mourinho, was Ivan Perisic, and the main factor reason why we didn't land Perisic, because obviously, the quoted fee Inter Milan were demanding was £48 million, and Manchester United were reluctant to pay up to that £48 million price tag. So we was heavily linked with Ivan Perisic under Mourinho, but obviously now he's no longer a Manchester United target, so we're not willing to go along with that. Obviously, Icardi's been spoken about as well as part of the deal with Lukaku, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not interested in Mario Icardi, so it's looking like now Lukaku could be staying with Manchester United. And like I said, he's got 3 years left on his deal. I think Lukaku does currently want to leave the club, but yeah, everything else has been been agreed. He said Inter Milan are willing to meet his wage demands and all this, and the personal terms and that have been agreed, but they obviously the initial fee hasn't come to an agreement. They have been negotiating about a fee, because initially it said Manchester United wanted around £70 million at the first for him. Then it said we want around £62 million, but now reports are saying we want in the region of £80 million. So basically we're looking to recoup the majority of the money that we did pay for him from Everton. I think credit Lukaku though, his pedigree is still very, very good in the Premier League. His ratio is very, very good in the Premier League, and he has scored a lot of goals in the Premier League as well, Lukaku, but he could well be now staying at Manchester United. And like I did basically say, we are expected to orchestrate a big summer clear out. I think probably around 4 or 5 players will go this summer. I think another issue with Manchester United, we've let far too many players contracts run down. Rashford's in the final year of his deal. It's looking likely Matt's going to be going. He's coming to end of his contract. De Gea's in the final year of his deal. We've let Ander Herrera, of course, go on a free transfer. So potentially we do need a massive overhaul this summer. There's a lot of players on Manchester United's agenda. Obviously, maybe some people saying we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer, because there's quite a few players on Manchester United's agenda, that are available for the reasonable figure. But we're getting a spending spree of £250 million, and obviously, this should be enough to get at least 5 new players to Manchester United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, believes we can attract players to elite level, even though we're not in a Champions League football for next season. But as you all know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has worked out his transfer strategy. He wants to recommend a number of young players to come in, so he's not intending on bringing any short-term players to the club. But Solskjaer was saying towards the back end of the season, that he had been contacted by a number of agents, saying that their players, do want to come to Manchester United. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware, the amount of individuals that's been linked to with the move to Old Trafford. But obviously he wants to bring at least 5 new additions to the club to obviously, full the areas where Manchester United are lacking. Because like I said, you can't see the deficiencies in the squad. And obviously on this squad is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so looking at, he's still in the process of rebuilding. But like I said, there is cultural problems at the club. Obviously we've got to get a director of football in. That's very essential to get one in before the start of next season, because obviously it's got to be ideal, to recommend someone who knows about the club and that, someone who of course has got the experience. And there has been quite a few candidate names, mentioned, who could take that director's role at Manchester United. So yeah, it's looking like could now possibly Lukaku be staying at Manchester United. Now in regards to Paul Pogba as well, as I have been updating you about Paul Pogba on a regular basis now, it's been looking very, very imminent. He's going to be leaving Manchester United, and he is going to be making the move to Real Madrid. But I do believe now we have set a huge transfer fee on Paul Pogba, and this could stall his current move to Real Madrid. So like I did say, I think the initial fee is going to be the stumbling block of Paul Pogba making his move to Real Madrid. We do know Paul Pogba has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation, but he could possibly now stay at Manchester United, even though he does want to leave the club. But obviously Real Madrid and Manchester United may struggle to come to an agreement on the initial fee, so obviously that would make Paul Pogba stay at Manchester United. But we do potentially it came out, a couple of days ago, saying that according to a lot of Spanish outlets, and this Spanish journalist basically said that Paul Pogba to Real Madrid is practically done. He did basically say that a fee was basically being negotiated from between 137 and 150 million pounds. It also said that Paul Pogba agreed to take a massive pay cut, to make his move to Real Madrid. I think, his initial salary, I think he has around 13 million a year, but he did say his wages would drop by around £3 million a year, so his wages would reduce from 13 million to £10 million a year, of course, to make his move to Real Madrid. But I think now Real Madrid have got a deal over the line for Eden and Hazard, of course, so now they will be focusing on trying to get Paul Pogba, because that's obviously Real Madrid's 2 main targets. Obviously Zinedine Zidane has got a lot of players on his agenda this summer, but his 2 main targets, of course, are Paul Pogba and Chelsea's Eden Hazard. Well, initially we don't even want to sell Paul Pogba. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to keep him. It came out last week. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, offered him, was willing to offer him, the captaincy in a bid to convince him to stay at the club. He's still got 3 years left on his contract with Manchester United. Obviously, Manchester United paid £89 million for Paul Pogba. Obviously, our most expensive signing. And let's be honest, he hasn't really exceeded expectation levels at Manchester United as we all thought he would have done. He hasn't been the fundamental player as we all thought he would have been, regarding what he did in his 4 years with Turin, Paul Pogba. But he hasn't really replicated this form at Manchester United, what he did at Juventus. It was inscintillating form in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first 3 months as interim manager. Paul Pogba, was doing really, really well. And I think mainly we saw the best of Paul Pogba when Ander Herrera, was currently playing. So that just emphasises how much of an impact, Ander Herrera did currently make, because he freed up Pogba. Pogba was scoring goals, Pogba was providing. But I think towards the back end of the season, last season, his last like 8 or 9 games, I thought, you know, Paul Pogba's performances were below par, and he was so inconsistent. Was Paul Pogba, so he could now still possibly, you know, stay at Manchester United, because I think Real Madrid and Manchester United are struggling to come to an agreement on a fee, because obviously, you know, the fee is at, you know, extortionate, of course, and I think, you know, I don't think Real Madrid, you know, would be willing to pay up to like 150 or 160 million pounds, because initially it did say Manchester United, you know, wanted around 160 million pounds of Pogba. It's also still coming out saying that, you know, Juventus are interested in re-signing him. It did say Juventus, of course, the other day they were willing to offer 2 of their players as part of the deal for Paul Pogba. You know, it did say they were willing to offer Paul Dybala and Alexandro as part of the deal. But if he does leave Manchester United, obviously his preferred destination is Real Madrid. Obviously, going back, was it a month or 2 ago, you know, Paul Pogba was talking a lot about Real Madrid, you know, about his, you know, his dream to play for them and all that. And I think he did identify and pinpoint out at some point in his career, you know, he does want to play for Real Madrid, because maybe he wants to be in Champions League football, he wants to be winning trophies, he wants to be challenging, and obviously, you know, Manchester United cannot offer Paul Pogba this. So there is a possibility chance now that Paul Pogba, you know, could stay at Manchester United, you know, based on the huge transfer fee, of course. And same with Lukaku, similar sort of scenario with Lukaku. You know, we put an 80 million pound price tag on Romelu Lukaku, and I think, you know, this now, I think now Inter Milan, you know, probably, from my perspective, and I think it'll happen anyway, I think Inter Milan, you know, will cool their interest now in Lukaku, obviously because we've put an 80 million pound price tag on him, and obviously Inter Milan are not going to be willing to pay up to 80 million pounds for him. Like I said, with the situation with Pogba, I don't see Real Madrid, you know, willing to pay up to the 150 or the 160 million pounds for Paul Pogba. If Paul Pogba does go, I think it will be beneficial, because if we can get, say, around 130 or maybe 145 million for him, you know, we could potentially get 2 or 3 players there with that money. And I know it's going to be hard for us to find that, you know, a player of Paul Pogba's calibre on level, but, you know, potentially, you know, we could get 3 players there with that money. So now we've set huge transfer fees on Lukaku and on Paul Pogba. So this actually, you know, could convince, you know, both players to stay at the club. And I'm going to give you some latest news about Adrian Rabiot from PSG. Now, he's been spoken about in the media today, Adrian Rabiot. Now, reportedly, he's on Manchester United's agenda. As you all know, Adrian Rabiot is 24 years of age. Obviously, he has been subjected, you know, to quite a lot of transfer speculation, because obviously it's imminent that he is going to be leaving PSG, of course. Obviously, I think he hasn't played a game for PSG since December last year, because obviously, you know, he had got withdrawn from the squad, obviously, you know, based on his refusal, you know, to currently sign a new contract with PSG. So now, reportedly, you know, quite a number of clubs have been interested in him. I think Man United have inquired about his services before. I think a couple of months ago, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was weighing up a move for Adrian Rabiot. But at one point, it was actually, you know, looking likely that it was at one point it was actually, you know, looking very, very likely that Adrian Rabiot was going to be making the move to Barcelona. But I think based on Adrian Rabiot's demands and his like signing on fee, I think, you know, it put Barcelona off, and Barcelona had currently opted out of the race. So now it's basically saying that Man United and Arsenal are in for him. Reportedly, Unai Emery is keen on reuniting with Adrian Rabiot, because obviously, you know, Unai Emery has worked with Adrian Rabiot, obviously when Unai Emery was at PSG. And I think Adrian Rabiot, you know, I think he flourished under Unai Emery's guidance, you know, really, really well. You know, did Adrian Rabiot. Obviously, we do know that he's Arsenal manager now, Unai Emery. And obviously, Arsenal themselves are going to find it difficult to get their priority targets this summer, because obviously, you know, they're not in Champions League football for next season. Our Arsenal, obviously, you know, they didn't win the Europa League. Obviously, you know, they were only restricted to loan signings back in January. You know, they got 5 players there last summer. But Arsenal reportedly, you know, in for Adrian Rabiot. But it's also saying Manchester United now are in for him. And reports do currently say that Manchester United are reportedly, you know, willing to meet his wage demands. I think his salary demands are around £170,000 a week, and of course his signing on fee, and I think his signing on fee is around 10 million. And reportedly Manchester United are willing to meet these demands. Adrian Rabiot is 24 years of age, so he's still very, very young. He has spent the majority of his career with PSG. I think he is a central midfielder, and obviously, you know, that midfield area is one of the priority areas where Manchester United do need to strengthen up. Like I said, if Pogba leaves, I think we need 3 new additions. If Pogba stays, maybe we probably only need 1 midfielder, or we need 2 midfielders, of course. So yeah, there has been a lot of talks today going on about Adrian Rabiot, but there's also been other clubs that have been, you know, currently linked to him. But he's definitely leaving PSG, but it's obviously uncertain where he will be playing his trade next season, Adrian Rabiot. So obviously, you know, Arsenal have inquired about his services. I think Arsenal have inquired about his services, you know, in the past quite a few times, you know, Adrian Rabiot's, and yeah, so he's been, basically spoken about. But as I've been updating you on a regular basis about Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon now, if Paul Pogba, was to leave Manchester United, obviously, Bruno Fernandes, would be the good, adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. As I said, Bruno Fernandes is 24 years of age. It's obviously, Manchester United and Manchester City, of course, that are battling it out for him. I would say, Manchester City are emerged as the front runners at the moment to currently get a deal over the line for Bruno Fernandes. But obviously, Bruno Fernandes came out with an admission, regarding his future and all that, and he's basically just suggested out as Bruno Fernandes that he's unsure about his future. He's unsure about his future. He said he's had 2 intense years with Sporting Lisbon. He doesn't know if he'll be having a 3rd year there yet, so he doesn't know where his future lies. Bruno Fernandes is, but Bruno Fernandes did say he has refused out. He has refused to rule out a move to the Premier League as Bruno Fernandes. Like I said, though, 24 years of age. I think he also denied, making any negotiations with Manchester United over the potential move to Old Trafford. I think it came out a couple of weeks ago about Bruno Fernandes saying Sporting Lisbon wanted around £60 million for him. And I think his initial lease clause is around 85 or 86 million pounds. But obviously the more attractive option for Bruno Fernandes, obviously, would be Manchester City for him, of course, because obviously City can offer him Champions League football and all that. But like I said, Man United, I know we're a toxic club at the moment and we've been playing catch up for the last 5 or 6 years. But historically, we're the best team in England. We're still one of the biggest clubs in the world, and we've got a fantastic fan base and all that. So what? All right. And definitely, Manchester United are still in there for Bruno Fernandes. He's got a contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023. Obviously, he had a lot of experience of playing in Italy when he was younger with the likes of San Pandora and underneath. So he has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. So definitely, Manchester United have been in there for him. And he's primarily an attacking midfielder. So I think he'd blend in very, very well in our midfield. I think he'd succeed in the Premier League if he came to the Premier League. I think, he'd meet expectation levels in the Premier League. And obviously, at some point in his career, if he doesn't leave this summer, he'll want to take his career to the next level. So as I've been updating you today as well about Nicolas Pepe from Lille, as reportedly said, quite a lot of teams have been interested in Nicolas Pepe, but reports have said today that Man United and Liverpool have opened up talks, to currently sign Nicolas Pepe from Lille, and I do really, really like him indeed. And obviously he's the obvious candidate for the right win for Manchester United because, Nicolas Pepe is primarily a winner, and I think if he comes to the Premier League, it will take his career to the next level. He'll definitely exceed expectation levels in the Premier League, full of goals, full of assists, still got a hell of a lot of development in him, only 24 years of age, and I think he spent the entirety of his career in France. He's been at Lille a couple of seasons, but obviously as it came out a week or two ago that the Lille chairman has confirmed that Nicolas Pepe is going to be leaving Lille this summer. I think reportedly Lille rate him at around £70 million, so this is what they currently want if they were willing to let Nicolas Pepe go. So obviously he's been on Manchester United's agenda. I think also he's been on Arsenal's agenda at least for the last couple of months. I think also Bayern Munich and PSG and Real Madrid and that have expressed their interest in Nicolas Pepe, so he has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. I think Liverpool will probably see him as a replacement for Shaqiri because he's linked with a move away from Liverpool, but I do really, really like Nicolas Pepe indeed, so he probably cost you in the region of around £70 million, only 24 years of age, and of course has got immense talent. Joe Felix from Benfica, again another Manchester United target. The rumours have continued to persist about that, since January. Obviously Man United have inquired about his services. Man United have been scouting him since January. Liverpool had a bid turned down for him in January. Obviously we do know it's now mainly Manchester United and Manchester City that are battling it out for Joe Felix. I think also Real Madrid have expressed their interest. But I think his initial buyout clause is around 100 or 105 million pounds. But I think Benfica have blatantly made it clear that this has to be triggered if they are willing to sell the player. So yeah, his buyout clause is around 100 and 105 million. I think Man United and Manchester City have blatantly made it clear they are willing to basically trigger that buyout clause for Joe Felix. Only 19 years of age, so potentially still got a hell of a lot of development in him as Joe Felix, and I do believe he'd succeed in the Premier League. He's got all the attributes to succeed in the Premier League, and I do believe he can emulate into one of the best players in the world. Obviously it's only been his first season in his senior squad with Benfica. Obviously he's yet to make his senior debut for Portugal, but yeah, got a hell of a lot lot of development in him as Joe Felix. So it is Man United and Manchester City, of course, that are battling it out for him. You know, he's primarily an attacking midfielder, can also play as a winger, can play as a striker and a secondary striker. You know, can Joe Felix. So I do really like him indeed. I think Man United have been in negotiations, you know, with Benfica to currently get a deal over the line for him. So like I did say, I'd rather, you know, pay over £100 million for Joe Felix, you know, than I would Antoine Griezmann. Either way, I don't see Antoine Griezmann coming here to Manchester United anywhere, even though recent reports, you know, came out, was it last week, saying that Manchester United had made contact with Griezmann over the potential move to Old Trafford, because now reports are saying that reportedly, you know, Griezmann to Barcelona, you know, that transfer now could be off, because reportedly Barcelona have got second thoughts. Reportedly, you know, Barcelona now stalling on the move for Antoine Griezmann. I don't think Griezmann is happy about this. Obviously, you know, Griezmann came out, was it a week? Well, it was early on this month. He basically came out with an admission saying that he is going to be leaving Atletico Madrid, and he looked destined, you know, to make the move to Barcelona, did Antoine Griezmann. But now reportedly Barcelona are stalling on their move, so it remains uncertain where he will be applying his trade next season. But like I said, I'd rather pay that $100 million on Joe Felix than I would Griezmann, because more or less it's a similar figure, you know, because obviously, you know, Joe Felix's buyout clause is around 105 million. Obviously Griezmann's is going to be around 104 or 105 million, because at the moment Antoine Griezmann's release clause is around 170 odd million pounds, but obviously at the beginning of July it does reduce to around 104 or 105 million pounds. But potentially, you know, going back a couple of years ago, you know, Manchester United were on the brink of getting Antoine Griezmann, obviously, you know, but due to the transfer ban, a deal never materialised for him. Obviously, going back last summer, you know, Barcelona were close to getting in last summer, but obviously, you know, Griezmann committed his future with Atletico Madrid by signing a new contract, so he's under contract with Atletico Madrid until 2023. He has spent the entirety of his career in Spain as you know, Antoine Griezmann. Obviously, I think he's spent about 5 years at Atletico Madrid. I think he scored 133 goals in 257 appearances in all competitions. Initially, began his career at Real Sociedad, you know, when he was younger, but he is now 28 years of age, so he is aging up a bit. I don't think he's a Galactico player anymore. I don't think he's a player he was a couple of years ago, but he can still score goals, you know, Antoine Griezmann. But he's still got development in him, but maybe he wants to take his career to the next level, because he's spent the entirety of his career so far in Spain, so maybe he wants to come to experience the Premier League, or if he goes to Barcelona, obviously, you know, he will continue playing his trade in Spain. But reportedly Barcelona now have called their interest in Antoine Griezmann, and in a way, if Griezmann was to, you know, come to Manchester United, and you know, this could actually, you know, persuade Paul Pogba as well to remain at the football club, because obviously, you know, Paul Pogba and Griezmann have got a really good relationship, you know, especially off the pitch, because obviously, you know, they're both French and all that. But yeah, I wouldn't be keen on us spending over £100 million on Antoine Griezmann. So I think now Barcelona reportedly, you know, stalled their move for the player. Now, as I've been updating you today as well of what's going on in regards to Philippe Coutinho, and now obviously, you know, more things is updated about Philippe Coutinho today. Now, I don't want Philippe Coutinho at Manchester United. It does basically say, though, that Manchester United are reportedly, you know, in for Philippe Coutinho. It also says that Chelsea are interested in Philippe Coutinho. Chelsea, as you all know, have got a transfer ban for two. They can't do any transfer activity in the next couple of windows, so unless it gets overturned, I do not know. But reportedly Chelsea are in for Coutinho, because obviously Eden Hazard is going to Real Madrid, and obviously, you know, Chelsea would see Coutinho as an adequate replacement for Eden Hazard. But we do know the rumours, you know, started about Coutinho in January. It did say Man United were in negotiations with his representatives over the summer move to Old Trafford. But like I said, I don't want Coutinho at Manchester United. Obviously, he's a former Liverpool player. Initially, it did say as well, you know, Coutinho is considering, you know, leaving Barcelona, because he wants to rejuvenate his career, and I think he also, you know, wants a change of senior, because since he's been at Barcelona, he's been there about 16 months now. You know, he hasn't lived up to expectation levels, hasn't exceeded expectation levels, and failed to obviously, you know, replicate what he did at Liverpool, because Coutinho did have 5 great years with Liverpool, and of course he had 5 years worth of experience under his belt in the Premier League, but he hasn't replicated what he did at Liverpool at Barcelona, of course. So he has been so inconsistent, you know, with Barcelona as Coutinho, and I think, you know, Barcelona are willing to currently sell Philippe Coutinho, but I think Barcelona are basically saying, you know, they're demanding the majority, they want to recruit the majority of the money, you know, that they did pay for him from Liverpool, you know, back in January 2018, because obviously Barcelona, I think, paid around, was it £145 million for his services back in January 2018, so Coutinho is actually the third most expensive player in world football, you know, behind Neymar and Mbappe. So I think the reported figures around £88 million that Barcelona do currently want for him, if they are willing to let him go this summer. You know, some media outlets say they want around £100 million, but obviously, you know, they're not going to get that for Coutinho, you know, based on his poor run of form, since he's gone to Barcelona. I think he's also got a long contract with Barcelona as Philippe Coutinho. He is an attacking midfielder, can also play as a winger. He is in his prime, he's 26, he's nearly 27 years of age now, is Coutinho, but like I said, I do not want him at Manchester United, even though reports have come out today saying that, we showed our interest in Philippe Coutinho, so it's looking imminent. He's going to be leaving Barcelona, because I think he wants to leave. Barcelona, are willing to let him go, of course, but I think they're going to find it hard to get rid of him, because I don't think any team's willing to pay £88 million for him. And so they're definitely not going to recoup the the initial £145 million that they did currently pay for Coutinho. So there has been a lot of talks about him going on. Obviously, we do know Manchester United need a right back, and like I said, we need a replacement for Valencia, because obviously, Valencia is leaving Manchester United. We know that's happening, but he's obviously been at the club 10 years, but it still remains uncertain, where his next destination is going to be. Is he making a return to Ecuador? Is he retiring from football? Is he going to the MLS? I don't even know what's happening with Antonio Valencia, but I do definitely know he's leaving Manchester United. Like I said, we need to get rid of Darwin and Rojo. An estimated guess, we can get around £25 or £30 million, for Mateo Darwin and Marcus Rojo. So I think it's looking likely, they're going to be leaving the club. But as I've been updating you about on a regular basis about Matthias de Ligt from Ajax now. Obviously, Matthias de Ligt has been widely spoken about. Obviously, he has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation as Matthias de Ligt. Now, we know he's only very, very young. He's 19 years of age. Obviously, we do know a lot of teams have inquired about his services. So, obviously, we do know Liverpool have been in for him. Manchester City have been in for him. PSG are reportedly now in for him. Obviously, Man United are in there for him, of course, because we do believe he'd be a good addition to the squad. But we do know Barcelona have been in for him. Obviously, Barcelona, at least in the last couple of months, have been in the ascendancy to get a deal over the line for Matthias de Ligt, because obviously it only came out, was it, from Sky Sports last week, saying that he's set to join Barcelona. From de Ligt's perspective, his preferred destination, of course, is Barcelona, and so it was looking likely, it was looking imminent, he was going to be making the move to Barcelona, but now according to recent reports, actually now Manchester United could be in the ascendancy, to get a deal over the line for Matthias de Ligt, because reportedly Man United have made it clear, we are willing to outbid any other clubs, for his current services. We're also willing to meet de Ligt's demands and his agent Raiola's demands. We're willing to meet that, so this could play a part in Manchester United getting a deal over the line for Matthias de Ligt. But obviously, there was it came out, was it yesterday, a major development around the deal of Matthias de Ligt. It came out, basically saying that Matthias de Ligt came up with 2 transfer demands. Obviously, both these demands Manchester United can meet, because obviously his first transfer demand was obviously, he's obviously demanding more money. And his second demand, of course, he wants guaranteed first team football. And obviously, Manchester United can meet both these demands, because definitely Manchester United can assure him first team football. And obviously, we compare the money, what he's currently demanding, and his agent Raiola is demanding. But I think now, according to recent reports, Barcelona have initially opted him out of the race, because they can't meet them demands, because they're not willing to increase their offer. Barcelona, they're not willing to meet what de Ligt's demanding and his agent Raiola is demanding. And obviously, as well, Barcelona couldn't guarantee him first team football, because they've got the likes of Gerard Piqué as their first team starting their back line. They've got Clement Lenglet, and also they've got Samuel Umtiti. So you wouldn't be guaranteed first team football at Barcelona. So first team football for him at Manchester United would be a lot easier for him than at Barcelona. Obviously, Manchester United can't offer him Champions League football for next season. Barcelona could offer him, obviously offer him Champions League football for next season. So I think it's looking imminent, that de Ligt is definitely going to be leaving Ajax, but it still remains uncertain where he will be applying his trade next season. And initially, it said Manchester United ruled out the move for him about 3 or 4 days ago, according to Sky Sports. We'd ruled out the move, because I think we was actually very convinced he was set to join Barcelona. Was Matthias de Ligt. Man United are willing to offer him a contract worth up to £350,000 a week. Obviously, that equates to almost £17 million a year. Maybe from Matthias de Ligt's perspective, that's a contract that's too good to currently turn down. In terms of the transfer fees, he's going to cost you around 65 or 70 million. Obviously, that's what he's initially rated at, and it did initially say Man United had put a bid in for him of around £70 million. And Gerard Romero, came out last week, or was it earlier on this week? He came out and said, he's a very reliable Spanish journalist, and he said, Manchester United are very close to signing Matthias de Ligt. He didn't say how it had been finalised or if he had been agreed. It just said Man United. He said Man United were very, very close to signing Matthias de Ligt. So there's been a lot of teams, of course, that have been in there for him. He's so far spent the entirety of his career with Ajax. Being an Ajax player since the age of 9. Progressing up the ranks fantastically well. well, and made his senior debut at just the age of 16, of course. So he has flourished at Ajax. You know, he's had 3 years, as I said, he's had 3 years worth of experience in their senior squad, and he has become an integral part of their team, as you know, Matty said, very tall as well, which is beneficial, and he's obviously, you know, got a hell of a lot of development in him. But I do believe if he came to the Premier League, you know, it would definitely, you know, take his career to the next level. So you all know Matty Stillett has been widely spoken about throughout the course of this transfer window. So I'd love him at Manchester United. I think we need 2 central defenders, but I think he'd be one of them, definitely. I think we've identified him now as our I think we've actually, you know, identified him now as our number 1 target. So yeah, I'd love Matty Stillett at Manchester United. Like I said, you know, I think Smalling and Jones shouldn't be at Manchester United next season, but obviously they are going to be at Manchester United next season. You know, they've been 2 long-serving players here. You know, Smalling's been here 9 years, Jones has been here 8 years, and I just don't think they're good enough to represent Manchester United. You know, don't get me wrong, you know, I think Smalling's much better than, you know, Phil Jones, you know, comparing them both, but I think we need to currently get rid of them. You know, Eric Bailly, like I said, his future's in jeopardy, and especially if a new centre-back comes in, his future's even in more jeopardy, is Eric Bailly's. But I think Bailly burst into the scenes very well when he first came into the Premier League, like I was saying, but I think, you know, based on his fallout under managers and his injuries he has sustained, it's had a really, really bad effect on Eric Bailly's career, so he could be, you know, possibly on his way out. But yeah, lots to sort out this summer, as you all know. As I said, we've been linked to quite a few defensive midfielders that have been, you know, giving you an update on. Obviously, there's been talks of, you know, Thomas Partey. You know, there's been updates coming out about him in the last 5 or 6 days. Obviously, you know, there's been talks of Idrissa Gueye from Everton. You know, he's been on Manchester United's agenda, you know, over quite some time. You know, Declan Rice has been mentioned in the past. You know, so yeah, we've been linked with a lot of midfielders. So there is positive news, you know, regarding Romelu Lukaku and Paul Pogba. I want Lukaku to leave the club, but it doesn't, as you say. I think now Lukaku could be staying at I think Lukaku and Pogba, you know, could be possibly, you know, staying at Manchester United, you know, based on their huge transfer fees that's being currently put on them. And obviously, it did look like Paul Pogba's move to Real Madrid was looking imminent, but obviously, you know, based on the huge transfer fee, they're going to struggle to come to an agreement on a fee. So obviously, that means he doesn't go to Madrid, he stays at Man United. And obviously, with Lukaku, I can't see Inter Milan willing to pay up to £80 million for his services. So I think Lukaku probably could end up, you know, staying at Manchester United. And like I said with Sanchez, he's one of the problematic players at the club as well. You know, we definitely need to get rid of him. Obviously, we're going to let him go on a long season loan. We can't get rid of him permanently, you know, because obviously no teams can afford to pay his substantial wages off. Sanchez is on 400 grand a week, you know, potentially rising up to 500 grand a week, you know, based on the image rights, based on the bonuses and all that. And he's been so inconsistent for Manchester United, and he's 30 years of age now anyway, doesn't have a future at the club, you know, has lost that yard of pace and just been very, very poor for Manchester United. He's become injury prone as well since he's come to United. He has sustained about 4 injuries as Sanchez. Obviously, like I said, he did have 4 good years with Arsenal when he was there. He played under Pep Guardiola when he was younger, did Sanchez, and he did really, really well at both teams, but he hasn't replicated this form at Manchester United. He did come out the other week saying that Juventus and Inter Milan were interested. You know, they'd been in negotiations with Sanchez's agent, because obviously a couple of weeks ago Sanchez's agent was in Italy, so I hope definitely, you know, Sanchez, you know, does leave Manchester United. And like I said, that's mainly everything to update you on, so nothing much really more to say. As I said, obviously we know it's looking, you know, Daniel James is going to be the club's for signing. Obviously his transfer is set to be announced this week, you know, which is very, very good news. £15 million the initial fee has been agreed. Obviously the personal terms have been agreed. Well, I think it's initially 15 million, potentially rising up to £20 million with add-ons included. So obviously, you know, he's going to be the club's for signing. But yeah, it's good that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has emphasised his targets for this summer. Obviously, he showed an interest in a lot of young players. He showed also an interest in quite a few British players. But definitely, you know, Daniel James is going to be the club's first signing. When Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was asked about the speculation linking Daniel James with a move to Old Trafford, he refused to comment on it because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware with the amount of individuals that's linked with Manchester United. But like I said, that's mainly everything to update you on. So the main part of this video was to give you an update what's going on with Lukaku, what's going on with Paul Pogba. So now both of them, you know, could be set to stay at Manchester United, you know, based on huge transfer fees that have been put on them, obviously. And yeah, so that's actually, you know, good news. And, you know, with the Paul Pogba situation, you know, some fans, you know, may want him to leave, you know, some fans, you know, may want him to, you know, want him to stay, of course, because we still know he's actually, you know, one of the best midfielders in world football, you know, when he's on it. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him. So he actually, you know, now he's moved to Real Madrid, you know, could be stalled, you know, based on the transfer fee and all that. So obviously, you know, more additional information, you know, we'll update. So we will keep you up to date of what's going on that. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching, guys.